All right, we'll give it a couple seconds here. We'll start sharing a little bit. All right. All right, and for those of you that are listening, we are fine right here. We are just going ahead and we are going to share this to quite a few groups here. So, all of you can just bear with me while we go ahead and share these to our great friends who are listening. We would surely appreciate that. Uh, righty. That's what we're doing right now after a long week. Got a lot of people that want to listen to us. We want to make sure we get everybody available to listen to our great show this evening. We're going to have a great show with Dale Scott on for you in a couple of minutes. For all you folks that are coming on right now, why I share this, I do appreciate you all. Alrighty. If all of you, why I share this, can go ahead and please share this to your timelines as well. I would surely appreciate that as I'm sharing it. If you can all do me that great favor and share as well, that would help me out immensely. So we're almost done sharing here. Got lots and lots and lots of people to share with. So stay with me 1 minute. There are a lot of people that want to see this show tonight, so I want to make sure that I can go ahead and do this as well. Okay, all right, thanks Eric for sharing that with me. We all right. There we go. We're just about done, folks, so stay with me. I'm sorry. Have a couple things left to do. I just wanted to come on instead of making everybody wait, so I do apologize about that. All right, last thing I need to do is just go ahead and share this link real quickly here. Right, with my good buddies. So let me do that. Go ahead and share this with Dale Scott, and then we will be ready to go, folks. So stay with me a minute. So I do apologize about that, folks. And let me just send this to Dale Scott so he can come on right in a little bit. D-A-L-E. There he is. All righty. So we are ready to go. So sorry about that 4 minute delay in here, folks. Welcome to Frankly Speaking Sports. I want to welcome you all to a terrific Tuesday. And I'll tell you what, we are in store for a terrific week here on Frankly Speaking Sports. In about 15 minutes, we're going to have former Major League umpire who managed in the, who umped from the 80s all the way to 2017. Dale Scott will be joining us live. So we got a terrific interview, a lot of information we're going to get from Dale. Just a great show. If all of you can please do me a favor, now that we are live and we are ready to go, if you can please take 1 second and just share this terrific show we have in store for you to your timeline. It'll take you all just 1 second. That's all it will do. It'll take 1 second for you to share it, and I would really appreciate that. We got a terrific show, a lot of information for you. Tonight, we're probably not going to talk much Buccaneer football. The season is only 4 days. Tomorrow starts the NFL with the Chiefs playing the Houston Texans. But as far as the Buccaneers goes, that's this Sunday, and we got 2 shows in a row full of stuff we'll talk about after the interview with Dale Scott, of course, tomorrow night. And then we're going to do a preview on Thursday. And we'll talk after the interview with Dale about what those next 2 shows are going to be like. But, I want to start off with, how, if you're a Tampa Bay fan, it is a great time to be a Tampa Bay fan. I mean, let's listen to this. We are what? 4 or 5 days away, 4 days away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking the field in what should be just an unbelievable season. If you're not fired up to be a Tampa fan right now, you will never, ever be fired up to be a Tampa fan, because what this city has in store for you the remainder of the year is just unbelievable. You take a look at the Buccaneers, which we will discuss in full tomorrow and Thursday, just what they're planning on doing. It's unbelievable. And then, we put them aside for a second, and let's talk about, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I mean, how about those Tampa Bay Lightning last night in the Eastern Division Finals versus the New York Islanders? Everybody's talking about, oh my goodness, they got too much rest. They're going to be flat. What's going to happen? Well, it looked like the Islanders were flat, because let me tell you what, with a convincing 8-2 victory last night, the Tampa Bay Lightning just looked fabulous in every single aspect of the game. And, you really got to give the big guy, Braden Point, lots and lots of credit. I mean, you saw that first goal yesterday by Braden Point. He went around the whole team, went away to the right, and then slipped it by the goalie by stretching his stick out. Just an unbelievable, beautiful goal by Braden Point to put us up 1-0. It looked like the Lightning just put on a clinic yesterday. I mean, it really was just unbelievable. When you looked at that team, it was just incredible. And again, Braden Point, give him credit. I want everybody to remember, this is still a long series, and I know all of us are excited after we saw what's last night, but this is a good Islanders team. Don't think just because we won convincingly, it's going to be an easy road. I think definitely we'll win the series, but let's not just get overly excited yet. I mean, Braden Point with a terrific game. He had 5 points, 3 assists, 2 goals. Just an incredible display by Braden Point. And when you look at this team and you look at this Lightning team all over, I mean, they just looked tremendous yesterday. I mean, they look tremendous. Tomorrow night they play 8 p.m. in Game 2. Look at Nikita Kucherov. Also had 5 points. He had 4 assists, 1 goal. We talked about Braden Point, who also had 5 points, 3 assists, and 2 goals. Yanni Gourde had 2 goals. What an unbelievable playoff series. Yanni Gourde is stepping up during these playoffs and has really come through for your Tampa Bay Lightning. So just unbelievable. And then, how about Hedman and Shattenkirk? I mean, these guys also had 3 points. And I'll tell you what, that slop shot by Victor Hedman for the second goal of the game was just a bullet. I mean, it was unbelievable and just amazing how hard he hit that shot, and it went in. The Lightning had 34 shots on goal, and 8 of them went in the net. If Greece was out of the game, the Islanders goaltender was out of the game in the first period. In the first period, they brought in Varlamov, who didn't do much better, as he gave up 5 goals. So just a great outing for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course, Vasilevsky, he really wasn't tested. He handled the shots that were put on him. I think he made something like 23 or 24 saves in the game. Just an incredible game all over the place. Every single guy on this team contributed. And, if you were not a big Braden Point fan before this year, you definitely got to be a big one now, because just an incredible game by your Tampa Bay Lightning, and really looking forward to see what they do tomorrow. Really am, because tomorrow night, it's 8 p.m., for the Lightning to go up 2-0. This is a big game for the Islanders. I hate saying must win when it's a 4-game series, but they cannot afford to let the Lightning go up 2-0, especially with the way this team is playing right now. So just an incredible show. We talked about the Buccaneers. Now the Lightning, 1 series away from going to the Stanley Cup. And let's not forget, folks, it's not just the Lightning either. How about your Tampa Bay Rays? Now, they are losing 5-3. They lost yesterday. And, this as a coach has to perturb you a little bit. And I'll tell you why. The Washington Nationals, who they're playing, who they lost to yesterday. Now, they lost to a good pitcher, Max Scherzer, last night. But the problem with the Rays last night is what seems to be some of their problems throughout the season, even though they are now 28-14. They have to score when they get the opportunities. And last night they had chances to score on Max Scherzer early. They didn't, and the Nationals ended up scoring, taking some leads, and going ahead and taking advantage in that game. Tonight, they're losing 5-3. And they're playing a team who is 15-25 right now. The next 16 games that your Tampa Bay Rays play are versus teams that have under 500 records. These are games they have to win. These are the games the good teams have to win. And if they're going to be considered a good team, which they are, they got to start beating these teams. You can't just beat the Yankees and the Red Sox, which you need to do, and the Toronto Blue Jays. You got to beat these. Nothing's automatic, but these are teams you should be beating. And when you're now down 5-3 in the 7th inning in a 2-game series versus the Washington Nationals that are 15-25, that's concerning to me. That's concerning that you're not playing up to that level. And they got Kevin Cash, who has done a terrific job. As much crap as I give him about the way he handles the pitching staff, he's done a great job with what he's had. He has to get these guys fired up in these games where they are playing under 500 baseball. Now, one of the guys who is really coming on is definitely got to be Randy Ozarena. I mean, what a great pickup this guy was from the St. Louis Cardinals. Everybody talked about Tommy Pham coming on board. But I'll tell you what, this guy is really coming on. He's now been up 17 times. 17 times he's been up so far this year since coming back from the COVID-19 injury list. And he has 4 homers in 17 at-bats. He has great speed. This reminds you of some of the older teams in the early 2000s that the Rays put together when they had speed on the bases, when they had those guys like Carl Crawford up in the top of the batting order, or the B.J. Uptons, and these guys that can run and steal bases, and you can do a lot of things with, like hit and run And, this is a guy that is going to turn a lot of heads in Tampa Bay. And, when you look at this Tampa Bay outfield, that's why they were able to give up Jose Martinez. They didn't lose anything. This kid is a star in the making. I won't say if they can find a spot, they will find a spot for this kid somewhere in the lineup. I mean, you got Kiermaier out there. You got Meadows out there. Margot is doing unbelievable. You got, now you got Zarina, who's doing well. You got Susugo, who's considered an outfielder and an infielder. Let's not forget Hunter Renfroe. They are deep in depth in that outfield. So, lot's going to depend on what is going to go on here in the next, couple of months here. Right now the Rays are looking good in the American League. Like I said, they're 28-14, but they got to get over this hump of losing these games to under 500 teams. So we have to do that. And for those of you on Facebook Live that want to make comments, for some reason we need permission from you to allow your name to be used. If you want to do that, please allow your name to be used on other websites like Eric did, so we can see who is coming on. We are about 4 minutes away from having former Major League Baseball umpire Dale Scott on with us. Really looking forward to that conversation. Dale went ahead and was umping from the mid-'80s all the way to 2017. So before some of you were even born, Dale was already umping. So you got to know his name right out of it. You were born and boom, Dale was there on the baseball field. So we'll talk to him in about 3 or 4 minutes. We are going to go over the Wednesday night show tomorrow, and we will do this again after the interview. But tomorrow night, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, Al Shamon Singleton, former linebacker, starting linebacker for the 2002-2003 Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, will be joining us tomorrow night live on our Crew Live platform. Those of you who are, not familiar with Crew Life, go ahead and join. It's CRUE. You can see it right on this side of me, and then whichever side, Life. So join Crew Life. It's our sister station. Go ahead. We're putting lots and lots and lots of shows on. Like I said, we're going to talk more about what's going on the next 2 days after the interview. But Thursday night, just in a quick synopsis of what we'll do, and we'll go in detail after the interview, is we are going to do a special edition, Frankly Speaking Sports. We are going to preview Thursday nights are now going to be preview of the following game. So this week we play the Saints. Thursday night, we will have a reporter, John Hendricks from the New Orleans Saints, joining us live. He'll be joining us live. We will break down the game between the Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints, get their feedback on what they're thinking of us and what we're thinking of them. Hopefully have some of their fan base interact with our fan base and have a little fun on the show on Thursday night. And then the following week, of course, we play Carolina on Sunday. So next Thursday, we'll be interviewing hopefully someone from Carolina, maybe a beat writer for the Panthers, and we'll preview game 2 next Thursday night. So lots and lots and lots of, things going on here on Frankly Speaking Sports. We're minutes away from having Dale Scott join us live on our Be Live networks. We are coming to you live from Brandon, Florida, our Frankly Speaking Sports studio, our new beautiful sports studio. So we want to welcome you here. And we didn't get time to say this last week. And anytime a good buddy of ours, especially someone who's been on the show with us for a long, as a guest, we want to congratulate. And for those of you who know the great Zach Blobna of WDAE Radio, Zach on the mic, He got an extension with WDAE, and we want to, all of us from Frankly Speaking Sports and Crew Life would like to congratulate him on that extension. Very, very well deserved. If you don't get to listen to him in the morning, it's usually on during, Ronnie Lane and Tom Krasnicki in the morning producing the show. And then I know he was running over to Orlando to do his show as well. So congratulations to Zach Wabner. We are very proud of you, buddy, and keep up the great work. Like I said, we are a couple minutes away from having Dale Scott joining us. He should be on in a moment. I'm going to check my phone. You know, it's a new platform. Sometimes people do have, let's see what he says here. Okay, he's having trouble connecting the camera and mic to Chrome. So let me see what we can tell him. Any of my technical experts, I'm having trouble connecting the camera and mic to Chrome. I'm trying to do the instruction telling, but it will not connect. Okay. Don't know if he's able. Let's see if he's coming on. I know he'll keep trying. If not, we will go to a phone interview with him. No problem. We have the technology to do it. I'm going to tell him. And give me a phone interview. All right. So we're going to try one more time, and he's going to try, and then if he doesn't get on that way, we'll just go ahead and interview him over the phone, guys. Say, you don't get out of that easy, Dale. But that's fine. If Dale can't get on, we'll get his phone number. We'll give him a couple minutes, and we'll get him on. So while we're doing that, we're going to wait for Dale for another minute. And I apologize to those folks that are holding on a minute. As I type this in. All right, we're waiting. He's typing a message right now, folks. So thanks for all of you hanging on. Eric, I'm not sure if he has Firefox. I'll have to find out from the production people here if they need a certain browser. But let's go ahead. Let's go and get Dale on the phone. That's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and do a phone interview with Dale. That way we don't have to hold up, and we'll get him on the phone here. So let me go ahead and get everything set up for, see, I'm always ready. So let's go ahead and get Dale on the phone here.
Hello.
Dale, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor, thrill, and most of all a pleasure to introduce to you on the Frankly Speaking Sports Crew Life Hotline, he former umpire from 1986 to 2017 in Major League Baseball. Let's welcome Dale Scott. Dale, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Well, besides technical difficulties, I'm doing great.
Yeah, and that's fine, Dale. That's why I always have a backup plan. Sometimes it's a new platform for us too, so we're learning if people need certain browsers or not. But first of all, Dale, let me say thank you so very much for joining us tonight. It's definitely my pleasure to have you on the show.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Larry. We're just enjoying a beautiful summer here in Portland, Oregon. Between the riots and the fires, we're doing very well.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You started back in, I think, the major leagues. I know you started your minor league career in 1981. Let me ask you this. Did you ever think when you started going into umpiring and you wanted to become a major league umpire that it would last 32 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, just the fact that I got to the major leagues is, such an accomplishment. Just frankly, getting out of umpire school and getting a job in the minor leagues is an accomplishment. So no, once you get in the minor leagues, you're trying to work your way up through every level to try to get up to AAA. Once you get to AAA, you're trying to take that next huge leap up to the big leagues, and it's of course a dream come true. But if you would have told me, when I went to umpire school, or even when I got the minor league job, that in just a few years I would be on the major league roster for 32 years. I would have probably asked what you're smoking because I wouldn't have believed
it. Now, you watch the game from the 80s all the way to 2017. Baseball has evolved, with a bunch of different things. Let me ask you, from an umpiring standpoint, because you've only been out a couple of years now, what is the main difference today that is different from when you started back in the 80s?
Well, I mean, one of the huge differences is replay. I mean, we never obviously had replay. We never, back when I started, we didn't even, we rarely had crew consultations. You basically, if you made a call, you stuck with that call. There was a few exceptions, but like on a pole bender, fair foul type thing on a home run, or maybe a possibly spectator interference or something out in the outfield, you might consult with your crew. But if you have a play or a certain situation, a lot of times you just lived and died with it, and that's completely changed. The philosophy in that changed in the early 2000s as far as starting to consult with your crew on certain types of plays or situations, and then of course when we went to replay, that changed everything.
Now, let me ask you, as an umpire, and obviously you talk to a lot of different umpires as well, are they in favor of the instant replay, or would they rather it be we make the call and it is what it is?
No, the thing is, we were a little hesitant when replay started because, quite frankly, didn't know how it was going to turn out, how it was going to affect what we did on the field, and of course the product, which we're trying. Every time you go out there, Larry, you're trying to get every call right, but we know that we also are human and that we're going to miss them, and so. What replay does is it is, even though you're not happy that you missed a play, what it does, it corrects that miss and the game moves forward. The first year we had expanded replay, it really showed me how it was, quite frankly, beneficial to our job when, I was down in Miami in the ninth inning, top of the ninth, Dodgers were there, it was a tie game. And I was at second base. Puig led off for the Dodgers, hit a single. He was at first base. So he tries to steal seconds. Like I said, a tie game in the top of the ninth. I call him out at second on the steal play. Don Mattingly comes out, manager of the Dodgers. He said, Dale, I think we want to take a look at that. So we wait for the signal. We get the look. We go and look at it. I was wrong. We overturn the call. He's safe at second. The next guy hits it off the wall. Puig scores from second. And they end up winning the game by 1 run. So, if we had not had replay, he would have been out at second. The next guy would have hit it off the wall, and everybody would scream, "Oh my God, he screwed us out of a run. We should be up by a run. We should have won the game." Blah blah blah. With replay, we take the time and go take a look. Oh, we're wrong. We're going to overturn it. Boom. And frankly, nobody even talks about it from that point forward. They just go, after replay. Puig stays at second, or sometimes they don't even mention that it went to replay. So, our bottom line, what we always want to do is get pitches and plays right, and replay helps us do that, and it just takes away that mistake that you're going to have to, if you didn't have replay, you'd have to live with, and it's not a lot of fun living with that a lot of times.
Right. Now, when you look at your resume, Dale, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but in your career, you had 90, you ejected 90 different managers during games, but you also you also umped for what, 30 years. So basically that's only an average of 3 a year, but it sounds like a lot more. Let me ask you a question about the managers. When you look back, I mean, you think of the Billy Martins, you think of the Earl Weavers, think of the Tommy Lasordas or the Dallas Greens. You had a lot of animated managers in the 80s and 90s, and it seems like today a lot of that animation is out of baseball. Do you think a lot of that is due to the instant replay, or is it just the makeup of people today versus what they were back then?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, obviously with replay, we don't have as many arguments as we used to
Right.
have. I mean, now a lot of times you're getting ejections on pitches, check swings. You still might get an ejection here and there on a play that goes to replay. They just don't want to believe it. But I was the last umpire to throw out Billy Martin.
Right.
Memorial Day, 1988, when the Yankees were in Oakland. I ejected him in the, I think it was the third inning. He tried to kick dirt on me, couldn't. He threw dirt on me. He got suspended for 3 days. He came back and he managed for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that, did not get ejected. Steinbrenner then fired him and he never managed again. So I'm the answer to a trivia question, I guess. But you have a different type of manager nowadays. Everything's much more analytical and stat-driven, and that kind of thing. Plus, in the last few years, like I said, with replay coming in, you just don't have the arguments like you used to have.
Now, Dale, we're talking to Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire. Dale, did you ever have, and I'm sure you did, that one series you're going into and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to go ahead and ump this series because there was a particular manager that you knew was just, could go off at any time?
Well, the personalities that are involved, not only managers but certain players, the situations with certain series. I mean, anytime you have the Yankees Red Sox, it's just going to be a heightened series. It always is. Those rivalries, the Cubs and the Cardinals, the Dodgers and the Giants. There's certain rivalries that just about any time they play, you turn it up a couple notches in the intensity department because they do it. It's just that type of series. So those coming up, and again, you approach every game as an umpire. You approach every game the same. It's a game of baseball, and they gotta pitch and hit and run and throw and field and do all that stuff. And when they get out of line, then you have to deal with those situations as they come up. But you certainly are aware of a certain series, a certain team, a certain manager, or a certain player that might have a track record of getting on umpires' nerves a little bit more than somebody else.
Now, Dale, let me ask you this, because, as an umpire, and, everybody I'm sure is different, but there's got to be a point inside where you really have to have discipline when it comes to a manager, let's say a Billy Martin coming out and actually throwing dirt at you. I mean, how do you keep that, composure when someone's doing that?
Well, you just do. I mean, we are the only people paid out there not to get excited, quite frankly. And so now that's easier said than done sometimes. But you're doing everything within the bookends, so to speak, of the rules, and you're arguing. If it's an argument, you're arguing. What the rule is, or what the situation, what the tag or no tag, the ball be there or not, whatever. And you just try not to get too caught up in the hysterics of it. Sometimes managers come out there to put on a show because they're trying to fire up their team, or they're trying to fire up, their own fans, or something like that. And you take that into account. We're umpires. We understand the game. We understand that, a hitter that is in a slays 0 for 21, and he takes a pretty good pitch for strike 3, and he's frustrated because he hasn't been hitting, and so he he might vent a little bit, and depending on how he does it, and depending on what he says or doesn't say, frankly, is what's going to keep him in the game or not. But there's certain lines you can't cross, and once you cross it, you will be ejected. That's just part of the game.
Now, let me ask you this, Dale. Do umpires, and let me explain what I mean. I mean, do you get nerves in certain situations like butterflies? Let's say you're in the middle of a game. Let's say you're behind the plate or even on the bases. And let's say a guy's in the, in the eighth or ninth inning, he's throwing a no-hitter. Do you feel that nervousness? I mean, obviously not like the pitcher maybe, but just like any other individual who's on that field?
Well, you certainly know what's going on. I was behind the plate for actually 2 no-hitters, but one they took away. That's a long story. I can tell you later if you want. But I was also on the bases for 3 different no-hitters. And you're well aware of what's happening. And you just in your mind, and you just don't, if you're plate umpire, you don't want to miss a pitch. You just want to focus, and not be the guy that is blamed for not getting the no-hitter, or not be the guy that's blamed. The reason he got it is because you called the pitch off the plate, a strike or something like that. If you're on the bases, especially, like at first base, you that bang call at first, that could be an out or a hit. And you just have to put it up a notch and try to focus and do what you are supposed to do, and let the chips fall where they may. But to answer your question, you absolutely know. Yes, you know what's going on, but you are looking at it from a different perspective. We don't sit out there thinking, "Gosh, I hope he gets it." We're out there thinking, "Gosh, I hope I need to focus, and I hope that if a play comes my way, I am in the right position, in the right time, and the right mental state to make the right decision, good or bad, for the pitcher or whatever the case may be."
Now, in 2001, Dale, you became a crew chief. And first of all, how big was it personally for you to be honored with that position? And for those fans that are listening, what is the different role that an actual crew chief is responsible for when relating to his crew?
Well, the crew chief is, just like it says, you're the head of the crew, you're the captain, you're whatever happens on that crew, you're responsible with the league office, because they're going to be coming to you to find out what happened, the night before in your game. If there was a brawl, if there was if we screwed something up, if there was some kind of an odd situation, let's say. It doesn't happen very often, but let's say some fans were giving the bullpen a bad time, and all of a sudden a fight broke out between fans and players or something like that. All those types of things we have to write reports for. We have to let the league office know. We're the eyes and ears for the league office, for the commissioner's office to understand what happened from our perspective, what we did about it. Who said what happened. This kind of thing. You're responsible for any rain delays or calling a game with the help usually of the league office, the commissioner's office, when we're in a rain delay, and it looks like the game's not going to be able to play. We're in communication with them, but it's also your decision. It's your decision to take them off the field. It's your decision to put it back on the field. If you have a younger 2 or 3 year guy that's on your crew, and maybe he's struggling a little bit on certain steal plays or on certain things, you're going to help guide him. You're going to help mentor him and give him pointers and try to help him if he has a certain type of situation he seems to be struggling with or whatever. So you're the conduit from the commissioner's office to the crew. Like I said, anything that happens, they're going to come straight to you. What is going on? You also, if after a game with the media wants to talk about a certain situation or ejection or play or a rule or whatever, you're the one that's going to be usually talking with the media. You might have a crewmate with you who is involved with it or something, but again, everything's going to go through you, and it's your decisions to, if you're going to talk to me, you may decide that type of situation, whatever it might be, that you're not going to talk to the media, or you're just going to give out a statement or something. So all that is dependent on whatever the crew chief decides to do it. So you're the guy.
Now you've umped 91 postseason games, or 90 postseason games. And I think you did 4 All-Star games. How special is it for you to do those type of games?
Well, obviously you work the season to, to grade out high enough to be considered for postseason. And of course, once you achieve postseason a few seasons, you're hoping that you're going to get up to the, and ultimately work the World Series. That's what every umpire wants. I was fortunate to have 3 World Series. I was fortunate to have 3 All-Star games and I believe 91 postseason games. That's obvious. There's certain benchmarks as an umpire. First of all, from umpire school, you try to get a job in the minor leagues. Once you're in the minor leagues, you're trying to get to the next level. Once you're in AAA, you're trying to get to the big leagues. Once you're in the big leagues, you're working hard to try to get that first postseason assignment. Once you've worked the divisional series and maybe you got an all-star game and you're wanting to obviously get that and the league champion series, and finally, hopefully you're going to get a World Series. You're also, as you get more experience, you hope to get promoted to a crew chief at some point. So these are all benchmarks as an umpire that you hope to achieve. My first World Series in 1998, the Yankees swept the Padres, but the thing about that, the thrill of just being in the World Series, and once you're assigned that, once you've worked a World Series, no matter where your career goes from there, at least you can never take that away from a guy. You got the ring, you've done it, and you're that if you get more, that's great, but you always want to get that first one because that's your ultimate goal as you work your way up in your career.
Now you've got to, one of the umpires that got to ump in both the National League and the American League, and you always hear these things around from wherever that, it's different in the American League than it is the National League. My question to you, Dale, is it different? And if so, how is it different?
Well, not counting this year. This year is the COVID year. There's a lot of difference in baseball. But before this year, the only rule difference between the American League and the National League is the designated hitter. That's the only rule difference. But the teams are structured in different ways. The American League has always been much more of an offensive. Teams are made offensively. Your pitcher doesn't hit. You've got a DH. You don't see a lot of sacrifice bunts. You don't see a lot of those nowadays anyway, quite frankly. But you really didn't see them in the American League. I came up in the American League in '86. I didn't start working in the National League until we combined both leagues in the 2000 season. And I'll never forget that first week of that season. I opened in Toronto and had an American League series. Well, then my crew, it was Tim Welke's crew, I was on the crew. We went from Toronto to Montreal, and we had the Padres there, and we had a National League series. And in those 3 games, in fact, we were there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. My Saturday afternoon plate game, I think between the 2 teams with the pitchers hitting, I think I had 4 sacrifice bunts, with pitchers bunting. And we came off the field, and I said, Tim, I can't believe this. I just had, I had guys actually wanting to be put out. I said, you might see 4 sacrifice bunts the entire year in the American League, maybe. So that's a big difference in the philosophy of the game, because it's a much more pitching and defense in the National League side, generally, and it's a little bit more offense oriented on the American League side.
Did you have a preference on one that you liked umping better than the other as far as National League and American League?
Well, in general, if you have more of pitching and defense, that means you have lower scoring games, which means usually the games go by faster.
Right.
And we don't get paid by the hour, so we like that. Quite frankly, I think you're going to see the DH in the National League after the COVID stuff's all over. I think this is going to be a real change once they have a new CBA. I think the Players Association wants it as another roster spot, high-paid roster spot. And quite frankly, I don't think the GMs and managers are real thrilled about their pitcher hitting, and getting hit by pitch or hurting themselves running down the first or whatever the situation may be. I think they just rather have pitchers pitch and everybody else, hit and field and play the game.
So, Dale, do you like obviously we'll talk about the DH, but let's take that out of the equation a minute. I mean, when you first started in the 80s, like you just said, you had a lot more teams doing a lot more small ball, hit and running, stealing. bunting. I mean, you name it, squeeze plays. And nowadays, the game's just has changed so much. Did you like the game back then better, or do you seem to like it the way it's evolving now?
Well, I mean, the way you have now with the shifts and everything is analytics and of course the hitting philosophies now are completely different. I don't know. It seemed like it was more of a pure game of baseball, back in the 80s and 90s before this kind of stuff. Is that better? I'm not sure. I mean, you got to remember, you know, baseball is nothing if it doesn't have fans. And to keep fans, you have to have some excitement and you have to have things moving. And a pure baseball fan loves the strategies of hit and run and stealing and sacrifice and hitting behind the runner and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of with a lot of more entertainment out there, a lot of people's can only afford so much entertainment, and they got to place their money where they want to go. And if baseball doesn't kind of keep up with the times and keep it exciting and relevant, you're going to lose interest. So, I personally kind of like it a little bit where it's more of the pure game of baseball. But I do believe for the times we're in now, probably what we are kind of morphed into, I think is probably better for the game.
And Dale, the one rule that seems, and I know it's only an experiment this year, that seems that the play is most is the runner on second base to start off extra innings. You obviously did not see that because you're out of umping now, but if you were umping, do you think as an umpire, it makes the game goes quicker, obviously, because they're not going 20 innings, but do you think that's good for the game or bad for the game?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, hockey used to play until there was a winner. Well, sometimes they'd go 3 or 4 or 5 overtimes or whatever, and the product maybe suffered because the guys were exhausted. And are you getting your best hockey in the 3rd or 4th overtime or whatever? So they went to a shootout. After they modified the rules. Here's the thing about baseball. The longest game I ever worked behind the plate was 19 innings. It was 6 hours and 30 minutes. With your roster size and everything, a lot of times after about the 12th inning or so, you might have position players pitching at some point. It's coming to the point now. Are you getting the quality of baseball that you want? I mean, I understand a purist would just his head would explode saying that you're going to put a runner at second base. But they've been trying this in the fall league. They've been trying it in the minor leagues. And I'm not so sure if kind of like what hockey did and how they redefined or redid their extra periods and that kind of stuff. Kind of like football has kind of modified their overtime procedures and that kind of stuff. I think it's coming to the point where baseball will too. I don't know if it'll be a runner at second immediately. Maybe they'll play an inning or 2 before they do that. I don't know, but I think you're going to see some modifications going forward.
Now, a couple more questions before we let you run, Dale. Dale, let's talk about the end of your career. I think a lot of people don't realize that, umping is not the easiest job in the world. It's actually, just as dangerous for umpires as it is for players. And, you had to retire, I know, after what? You had like 4 or 5 concussions, and you said, and I know you were getting to that point where you needed to make a decision. I remember hearing you say that in an interview about whether that was going to be your last year or not. But talk about the concussions and, how difficult, especially behind the plate, it is to ump a game.
Well, it's, I think umpiring behind the plate is one of the toughest things to do as an official. There's certain sports as an official are maybe a little bit tougher than others. Not that any of them are easy. Trust me, I refereed football and basketball both at just a high school level and below, but I did both for 18 years. And it's every sport has its own intricacies and things about it. But one thing about baseball behind the plate is you're prone, and it's a very, high probability you're going to get hit. And, for years, we didn't look into concussions like we have in the last 15, 20 years. I mean, back in the 80s when I was in the minor leagues and then the big leagues, and even through the 90s, quite frankly, there were times, no doubt, that I took a shot that I probably should have left the field, and I didn't. Concussions used to, or when you got your bell rung, and you say, kid, you're going to be fine, get some dirt in your shoes, you see, it's kind of a joke. But we understand now it's not a joke at all. It's quite serious and can have long-term repercussions. So yeah, that's a working behind the plate as an umpire. That's one of the possibilities. I had 4 concussions. My last one had included whiplash, and I made the decision that I was going to walk away. I was close to retirement anyway, and after consulting with some specialists, I made that decision. But it's just part of doing what we do. And some say, well, you have the automated strike zone, maybe that'll take care of it. Well, not really, because you still have to have a plate umpire just in case the automated zone malfunctions during a pitch. Then you have to call it. Plus, you have responsibilities anyway. Excuse me. That take place as a plate umpire besides just calling balls and strikes. So there's always going to be that possibility of getting hit back there, and with the right equipment, with the right positioning, you do everything you can to keep, make those odds a lot less. But if the ball's going to find you, it's going to find you.
Right now, in your 32-year career, Dale, and I know there's probably lots of them, but what are some of your most memorable moments?
Well, I've got a ton of them. Obviously, I remember my first game. I remember getting hired. I remember my first playoff. My first postseason was 1995. I had Game 2, Mariners at the Yankees divisional series on the plate. My first plate game in postseason, I went 15 innings, 5 hours, 13 minutes. I'll never forget that. That was the game that would never end. But my first World Series, my first All-Star game, working the plate, my last All-Star game as the crew chief, getting promoted to crew chief, and then just there's so many memories of just certain times on the field, historic things that I just have to be there and be involved in. And then I was 103 games short of 4,000 games in the major leagues. So that's a lot of baseball, and I saw a lot of things. So I got a ton of memories.
Sure. Now let me ask you this, the last question before I let you go. How do you want to be remembered as an umpire?
I just would hope that if my name came up in a baseball discussion about something, they would say, Dale Scott, that guy was a solid umpire. He was fair. He went out there and he worked hard and he was fair. And that's all you can ask for. I mean, did I make mistakes? Absolutely. Were there games that I wish I could take back? Yeah, there were plays that were pitches I could take back. Sure, there is. But there's a whole ton of them that I got right, obviously, or I wouldn't have been there that long. And I just would want to be known as, that guy was solid. He was fair. He knew when he walked on the field, both teams knew, hey, we're going to get a solid job out of this guy.
Well, Dale, I want to thank you so very, very much for joining us tonight on Frankly Speaking Sports. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, you be safe now.
Take care of yourself.
All righty, bye-bye. That was Dale Scott, former Major League Baseball umpire. What a great interview. Lots and lots of stuff, Dale. So we want to thank him very much for joining us via the phone. So we got to listen to Dale now. We have been talked about a little bit about some of the shows that are coming up. And I got a quick email here. Let's see if everything is still a go here. All right, the Rays did lose 5-3 today. So, they lost 2 in a row now. So that was the message I got to my phone. So the Rays are now 28-15. And once again, these are the games that can frustrate you. When a 28, you go into the series You're 28-13 going in to the Nationals, who are 15-23. Now, let's take for granted they are still the World Series champions from last year. But those are games you have to win. And at least if you're on the road, split. And they did not do that. And they're going to have to do that. You know, the next 14 games they play are teams under 500. Those are the ones that going 500 is not good enough. You got to win 75, 80% of those games and definitely at least win series. So very, very disappointing 2-game set at the nation's capital versus the Washington Nationals. So let's hope they can come back and change that luck starting tomorrow night. Remind you, tomorrow night, 8 p.m., the Lightning play the Islanders, Game 2 from Edmonton. Huge win, 8-2 last night. So we want to remind you that. Then tomorrow night, for all of you fans out there, we will be on our Crew Life sister station tomorrow. That's right, Crew Life. Tomorrow, it is a great honor and pleasure to have our sister station covering, frankly speaking, sports, and having former Super Bowl champion, former starting linebacker, Alshimon Singleton on live with us. So he will be live, through a video with us. We'll make sure we can get him on. Just some great, great things we'll ask him in regards to that 2003 Super Bowl team. And we'll also ask him his perspective on this upcoming year for the highly anticipated season, which begins Sunday with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then we're going to start something different on Thursday nights. On Thursday night, we have the pleasure of having John Hendricks, who is a writer for the New Orleans Saints, will be joining us live Thursday night back on our Frankly Speaking sports platform. And what we're going to do is we're going to preview Game 1, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. We're going to have my perspective on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're going to get John's perspective on the New Orleans Saints. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have groups from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all the different groups that are associated and listen to Frankly Speaking Sports. And we're going to try to get as many groups that are on the New Orleans Saints to interact and make comments on the show, ask their questions, and answer those questions. So a very interactive show for those of you for Thursday night. Should be lots of fun, and we're going to start doing this every Thursday. Before the game, we are going to go ahead and preview the next Bucs game. So next week on Thursday night, we'll try to get someone who is associated with the Carolina Panthers, and we will try to get them on and talk to them about the Panthers. So it should be lots of fun. We're trying to do different things for you here on Frankly Speaking Sports as we continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I also want to remind you, if you go to your Crew Life platform or your Frankly Speaking Sports platform, if you look at the label in the corner there, you will see that we are now have on sale on our platforms, Frankly Speaking Sports shirts, hoodie, socks, you name it. I don't even know. They might have underwear in there for all I know. But they have everything associated with Frankly Speaking Sports that you can purchase. If you want to order a shirt, very, very good price, go to Frankly Speaking Sports or go to Crew Life, and they will give you the link. We have the link so that you can go ahead and order your shirt. Love to see you wearing them, and we will start doing some specials with those shirts in the very near future. So, we want to thank, first of all, our special guest, Dale Scott, former Major League umpire, for joining us tonight. Want to remind you one more time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on our Crew Life tomorrow. Al Shamon Singleton will be joining us live on our Buccaneer edition of Frankly Speaking Sports. So we got, what do we got, 4 days left before the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take the field. I can't wait. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you on the next episode of Frankly